Hi, YouTube.
Hey guys! Oh, they're back at it again with another one.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna hit record on my band. What's
Okay,
going on?
wait. Do you have a timer or something that you can watch the time as well?
Oh, yeah. I can put it on my phone.
Okay, cool. So we'll just have that. It'll make it easier.
Yeah, I'll have a stopwatch. Okay. All right, here we go.
Okay.
And then let's put it on. I'm gonna hit record. Record. Hello. All right,
Okay.
and then whenever we're ready for the clap.
Okay, ready.
1, 2, 3.
That was pretty close.
Almost.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tea with Claudia and B. That's Claudia there.
Hi, and that's B.
Hello. Okay, and this week our episode is going to be all about the 1996 version of Emma with Kate Beckinsale starring as Emma. But first, we're going to get into a little chit chat with each other, talking about our obsessions this week because we do have weekly obsessions. So, Claudia, what is your obsession this week?
Okay, my obsession this week is actually working out. I've been working out.
Such a good one.
I've been working out with Blogilates is what it's called. Blogilates. Her name's Cassie Ho, and I love her to death. She's like a little chipper Disney princess, and her workouts are really great. She has a free workout calendar on her YouTube. If you just go to playlists, she has like videos, and her videos are really good and they work really well. Like I have several before and after pictures of like different times when I've done different challenges, and so I just love working out with her. I did her 21-day challenge in January. She had like a challenge where to do a 21-minute workout for 21 days. And so we did that with her. Now I'm doing her workout calendar. Today's workout was really hard, but I love like feeling and seeing my body like change, and it's just good for my mental health too. So that's been my obsession this week. So
that's a really good obsession to have.
Yes. If you guys want a fun workout buddy, Cassie Ho is the place to be. Blogilates. She's great. So my sister introduced me to her in 2014. She called me. She's like, so I think I found something that you might like. And then I've been obsessed since then. So,
yeah. So I'm guessing she does like Pilates workouts.
It's like she calls it her own brand. It's called Pop Pilates, and so it's kind of like a dance on the mat, and it's like fast paced. But she does like
fun.
She has like her own little niche. So she has something called PIT, PIIT, and it's like Pilates intense interval training, because like HIIT, which is like the high intensity interval training. It's like that, but it's just different moves like that and all that. Yes, she still does burpees and like all of that, all that crazy stuff. But I really like her workouts. So she's so fun and so chipper. And my sister and my niece, one time when I was doing a workout like over the holidays with them, and my niece was like sitting there, she's 3, and she was like eating popcorn. And then my sister
working out.
And my sister's sitting there watching it because she had already worked out, because we're a very like active family. But my sister, she likes this other workout lady who's just kind of a little bit more no nonsense, and she's like she's really good too. And but my sister just likes more of a no nonsense workout. But she was like, this lady is crazy, Cassie, because she's like, so like, like always like talking, and like, she's like, what color are your nails? And like, she's always like, oh, and my nails like match my mat, and like, blah, blah, blah. And she'll just funny. And she's like this bright little, like cheerful rainbow all the time. And she's great. So
that doesn't sound like something you'd be into, Claudia. I don't know why it's your obsession.
So yeah, she's great. I've actually considered like being one of her fitness instructors, but it's a big,
that'd be so cool.
It would be fun. It's a big investment. So like, I just need to like take my time with it and make sure, instead of like investing in it and doing all this and then like not teaching any classes. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like one of those things where I need to like make sure that it's like the thing that I want to do. So yeah.
I mean, that's what I did with yoga. I took a yoga class to like become a certified instructor, and I've taught maybe 7 classes.
Oh no, I didn't know that you were a yoga instructor.
Yeah, because I don't do it. I love yoga, and I think it is such an amazing way to be active and healthy. And I mean, talk about a mind, body, soul like workout, but I just didn't, I don't know. I guess I just didn't like the way you go about becoming a teacher. Like I just
Oh,
was like,
really?
I wanted to dive in and be like, let's do a spiritual retreat and I'll teach you yoga. I didn't want to like do all the work, which very, very fitting for me actually.
That is
I'm
so
like
funny
all or nothing.
because of your devotional that you did this week. That's like a great like
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Right. Like
uh,
I'm telling you, it was like God kind of laughing at me, being like, here's your devotional. Also, you need to learn this. Like,
so you guys
have a
B and
little
I
consistency.
so B and I are doing these like Jane Austen devotionals because since we're reading Emma, so we thought it would be fun to like pair them together. And
Mhm.
you, if you want to explain kind of what it was about for people that haven't seen it yet or like don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so we have a book it has just like daily devotionals that it takes an excerpt from one of Jane Austen's books, and then it has kind of the moral point that you can learn from that moment in the story, and then it has scriptures that go with it. And it's really cute and laid out well. And I did one this week that was about being steadfast in the things you're involved in and like following up. And they used Emma as the example of how she would start music lessons and not really progress very far. She would start art lessons and drawing and all this stuff and not really follow through. So when she has this portfolio full of like all of these half finished portraits because she didn't follow through, and so you need to be like steadfast and steady in the things you're doing. And I was reading it and I was like, oh my gosh, like if there was ever a kettle calling somebody else black, it is me giving this devotional right now. But it was really good. And it is a good reminder. Like that's always in the back of my head. But then the way that it was laid out, I was like, yeah, I could learn from this and I could do that.
I
And
could
I'm
too.
trying. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
trying.
I mean, I've been like that with my piano skills. Like I thought for sure by 30 years old I would be able to accompany myself while singing. Still can't.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah. I mean, I thought for sure by 30 years old, I would be able to play any song on the guitar, and I still can't. So, the
that
dream.
should be a
I just,
goal.
I know I should. I think it's just in my head. I have such a vivid imagination, and I think of myself doing these things, and I'm like, oh, that would be so amazing. I'd have so much joy in that. And then I start learning, and I'm like, what the crap? I'm not amazing at this right off the bat. And it's a little demoralizing. So I need to get rid of that idea, the expectation of it being perfect. Oh, my gosh.
Ah, that's funny. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, I love your obsession. That's a really good one. And I like want to check her out now because that sounds like a fun workout.
You would
I'm all
really
about
like
fun
her.
workouts.
You would really like
Okay,
her.
good.
She's super funny.
Oh, good. And I'm doing 75 hard again, which means I have to work out twice a day. So I need some variety in
Oh,
working
really?
out. So
Okay, yeah. Then do
yeah.
her videos. She has so many. I mean, so
Okay,
many.
perfect.
She's been doing this since 2009. So she has
That's
a lot.
awesome. Talk
Hmm.
about being steadfast in something. I should learn from her.
Hmm.
Okay, so my obsession this week, I've been reading this book that's called The Happy Hormone Guide, and I'm obsessed with it. I'm like kind of a little bit of a earth mama, like naturalist when it comes to medicine and health and stuff like that. I think that Western medicine and medication is like so amazing and such a blessing in so many people's lives. But I always like to try and start off with like natural things first to see what I can take care of by myself and then, take care of the rest. So this book, Happy Hormone Guide, it's by Shannon Leparsky and it is so amazing. Like she doesn't do a super deep dive right off the bat into everything, but she does like a nice broad, like she talks about how your hormones are affected by like your like every function in your body, like how you should get your lymphatic system going so that can like help process your hormones and different things like that. And then ultimately the whole book she'll go over things like your cosmetics that you're using and how your skin is absorbing different things and how to get rid of toxins and stuff like that. And then it's like a plant-based diet to be able to adjust your hormones and just get healthy and stuff. And I'm so inspired by it. Like she's so good at laying it out and kind of just being like, this is what you need to do if you're experiencing this and that, which there's like, when you're just kind of feeling a little unhealthy and you're like trying to take inventory of your body and be like, well, I feel off with this. Maybe it means that. There's so many things in the book where she's like, if you're not getting sleep, if you're not like taking care of your body in different ways and stuff like that, it can lead to these things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, those are all the things that I've been like trying to figure out how to be healthier, you know? So it's just cool when you see like everything come together and how one thing in your health affects another thing and you
Oh,
can kind
yeah.
of like you can figure it out. You know, I love it. I love it so much. And I think that um society doesn't talk enough about like hormones and how your health is so attached to your hormones. So ladies out there, I'm just saying it's very empowering as a woman to like learn about how your hormones work and function in your body, and we're created in an amazing way. God really had some complicated blueprints when he made us.
I
So
know. Yeah.
it's really cool. I'm obsessed with it. It's a really
That's
good
so
book.
cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That makes me happy about the plant-based diet stuff because
Hmm.
yeah, my dad is all about the healthy lifestyle and he's a lifestyle medicine doctor. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, he's great. So, but actually, if you want like a plant-based diet like app, that's like real,
Hmm.
I use it all the time. It's called, let me get it for you, the McDougall, Dr. McDougall. It's one of my dad's like mentors, actually. Just Dr.
Hmm.
McDougall, and it's McDougall. The
Okay.
recipes are super easy. They have them in like different categories. Like they have like Mexican weight loss recipes, McDougall's favorite, salads and sides. Anyway, they're really easy and like you can create a shopping list. And it's like, I love the app so
That's
much.
awesome.
So I think
That's
it
good because
might
it is hard
be,
to
oh, go ahead.
go on. I was saying, I was just saying that's awesome because it's hard when you shift like your natural um recipes and stuff like that, and you're kind of just like, I don't know what else to make. I can only make a salad so many times in 1 week, you know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
that's
And
good.
it might cost money, but I remember my mom calling me about the app and I was like, oh, I think it's like $5. And she's like, well, Claudia, you need to get it. So listen to my mom.
Aw. Listen to Mama Claudia.
Yes. So it's just
That's
funny.
cool. I'll totally look that up. Thanks for
Yeah,
the tip
I
there.
use it all the time. I actually have the ingredients for chili that I've got to make like tonight,
Hmm.
probably. So
Ooh, that sounds yummy.
it does. All right. Well, are we
That's
ready to
awesome.
dive into our topic?
Yeah, let's do this thing. Okay, so neither Claudia or I had ever watched this version of Emma before. And it was kind of hard to find. It wasn't available on
Yeah.
Netflix or Amazon Prime, so we ended up having to watch it on YouTube. like
But it worked.
like we were
Like
a
it
bunch of
was
teenagers or something.
but it all was on YouTube, which is great.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
and we both were talking about it and how we were like, can't believe we never saw this one. Like
It's a good one.
I really liked it. Like I was surprised because for some reason I thought maybe it just like wasn't very good and maybe that's why like it wasn't as well known because I feel like the Emma that
Yeah.
we grew up with was like pretty well known, like,
Mhm.
and
It was.
so
And it is just so charming and like lovely.
mhm.
But this one, it was really good. There were a couple things that I was kind of like thought were odd
I did
decisions
too.
in the
Yeah.
directing, but I
Yeah.
overall really enjoyed it. And I have to say, I think one of the reasons that I enjoyed it the most is because Mr. Knightley in it, I really liked him. He did such a good job. Like
I'm sorry.
I just loved how he depicted Mr. Knightley. I
That
thought it
is
was so
so
good.
interesting that you say that because I was actually thinking, I was like, an interesting choice
Yes, I
of
think it was too. At first, I totally thought that.
how he depicted Mr. Knightley, but I always think of it as a whole picture. I never blame like the actor at all.
Yeah,
I always think, okay, maybe the director like directed like him to do that, but he was a
yeah,
very much more of like a stern Knightley, I think. Like,
he was.
yeah,
Yes.
instead
Yeah,
of
because I think if we're comparing him to the Knightley in Gwyneth Paltrow's version, which we both say how we like love him
I
so
love
much,
him. Oh
he
my
was kind
god.
of lighthearted and like
Mhm.
a little softer. And this
Mhm.
Knightley was very like I just felt like the whole time his character was wrapped up in the phrase like honor bound. Like he was like, I'm going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I will choose that over my comfort, over what's fashionable or anything like that. I will behave as I should instead
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
anything else, you know. So he was way more serious in this version.
Yeah, he was. Well, and I looked up the actor, and now I'm blanking on his name.
Oh,
Um,
Mark Strong, which I thought was
yeah,
so funny because
I
I
know,
had
right?
never, I think he's like so hot, but he's like a bad guy. He's like a bad guy. And also when he was
Because
playing Mr. Knightley, he was younger and I didn't think he was very hot and as Mr. Knightley. I was like, he's
yeah, I
handsome.
didn't
He
think
has a
so
great
either.
nose. He has a great
Yeah,
nose
I
though.
wish
Did
that.
you see his profile?
Oh yeah, yeah. I wish though that they had made his hair a little different.
Oh, agreed. His hair kind of made him look a little derpy.
Yeah, because I
Um,
don't mind that he's like balding. That doesn't bother me. Because like for me, like I've dated bald guys. Wait, I don't want to say that.
yeah.
Should I say that? I don't know. We can always edit this
I
out.
mean,
But I was
yeah,
married
you've
to
dated bald
a
guys.
bald.
Bald guys need
I
to
was
date too.
well, no. I was saying no, no, no. I was gonna say I was married to a bald guy. Like like I
Oh,
just
okay, that's fine. I don't think anyone will judge you for that.
no, I just didn't want to. I didn't want that to be like that was like rude. Like I don't mind it, um, but
Yeah.
I just thought that them adding like all of the hair back there was like a little like I don't know. It was like a little
Yeah.
too back heavy, and it just didn't like suit him well. I don't
Yeah.
think. Like maybe
I
if
think it
they
did the
made the
same
hair
thing with the
shorter.
wig that they put on Ewan McGregor. I think it was like, wow, why that choice, you know? So yes, I
I'm
agree.
sorry.
I think the hair kind of took out of the moment, but
Yeah.
I like I think he's handsome. I think
Mhm.
as he gets older, because Mark Strong is in a lot of other shows older, and I think he's very handsome, but he's kind of like that hard ass, like, oh, you're kind of like mean. And I think I dig that a little bit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like I was looking at his Instagram and I was like, "Oh, he's like super like into like all of these like action movies, like very like
Yes.
yeah, very like whatever you call those movies that Matt Damon was in, Born Identity, whatever.
Porn.
Like very
Yeah.
like type movies." So
Yes, which is not exactly Mr. Knightley, but he did a good job with it.
yeah, yeah. So
Um,
it was a good I thought it was a good choice for sure. I did miss a little bit of the playfulness, but it's okay. I was kind of like, "Oh." But
yeah, and for that, I think too, if we're talking about Mr. Knightley, I didn't see the buildup between him and Emma as much, and
mhm.
I kind of think that they missed that a bit.
Mhm.
That could have been played up more.
But I will say I really liked, his brother, John Knightley, like, I thought he was
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, he had such a bigger role in this movie than any other
Yeah,
scene, and I liked that.
I
I
did
thought that was
too.
funny.
I thought he was
Hmm.
hilarious, and, like, I was like, "Oh, I've never, like" I don't well, maybe in the other I mean, we'll watch the other versions, um,
Yeah,
soon, but, I mean, I just don't remember him being as prominent of a character in the other
no,
versions, but I
me
could
neither.
totally
And
be
he is in
wrong.
the book, like they're always talking about
Yeah.
that, you know?
Mhm.
So, although I
Yeah.
think Emma's sister is like MIA in every
I know.
movie I've
I know.
watched. It's like
Well,
she's there, but not really.
so actually today I saw on YouTube they did the same scene from Emma but in four different versions. So it was really cool on YouTube. I'll send
Oh,
you the link. But it was
I
the
want to see it.
scene where Emma and Mr. Knightley are like, "Oh, let's be friends again" after the whole Harriet and Robert Martin debacle, and she's always holding
Yeah.
the baby. So the first scene they show the Kate Beckinsale and then they do the Gwyneth. No wait, I think the first scene is Kate, but yeah, Kate Beckinsale, Gwyneth Paltrow, and then they go into the 2009 version, which is my favorite, and then they go into the
Hmm.
newest version, the 2020 version. So yeah, so the I know the 2009 version has John in it with the whole argument with like Mr. Perry and the doctors and all that with Mr. Woodhouse and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. So yeah, I'll have to send that to you.
Even
And
yeah, I want to see it. Because
mhm.
even my first note that I have from watching the movie, I put, okay, Mr. Knightley is really good. Like I really enjoyed his performance, actually. I felt like it almost focused on his character like
Uh-huh.
more, you know.
Yeah, that's funny
So I
that you
like
say
that.
that because at first I was a little like off put. I was like, I don't know. I was like,
Hmm.
I'm not sure if I
Yeah.
like this depiction of him. But I knew it wasn't the
Yeah.
actor's fault. It was just the direction that they were going. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure, but I ended up liking it. So
Mhm.
actually my first note is the weird chicken beginning. Like
Oh my gosh, that was so weird. Was that I don't remember that being in the book, them ever talking about, like, hen thieves. Was that a thing?
I'm reading the book. I'm on chapter what chapter am I on in the book? I'm on chapter 13. I don't
Mhm.
recall there being a hen thief in here.
Yeah,
But
I didn't either. I was like, "Maybe I missed that when I started reading it
do you
again." I don't know.
recall I don't know where you are in the book, but are you listening to it or are you reading it?
I'm reading it. I think I'm on chapter 9. I'm a little behind.
Oh no, it doesn't matter. But I do you
But are we
recall
surprised?
a chicken? Well, no, I
No,
literally
I
I
don't.
a chicken thief. Okay, I don't recall it
Yeah.
either. Yeah, I don't know, but
But the first scene in this one is, like, these people breaking into the hen house and stealing all of the hens, and
and then
then
it
one of the servants, like, firing a rifle at them.
yeah, and then it ends with the chicken thieves, which was weird.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was weird because the whole they how they did it in this version is that Mr. Woodhouse Emma to convince Mr. Woodhouse that it's okay that her and Mr. Knightley are getting married was because of the hen thieves, that Mr. Knightley is going to be there to help with the hen thieves. And then at the
Yeah.
end of the story, the hen thieves come back and it's like, what the heck? I thought that wasn't supposed to happen.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think ending that way was kind of a comical way of being like, "Oh, and life moves on and the hen thieves are
Oh,
there," because really it's like that's just something that would happen back in the day,
life goes on
like,
and the hen thieves are still there.
and that is the best quote I've ever given. Um, that old saying, the hen thieves are still there.
Ah, the hen thieves are still there.
Oh my gosh, Return of the Hen Thieves.
I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it's hilarious.
Oh, that's great.
Woo! Oh my god.
But because really it's kind of a silly scene when Mr. Woodhouse is like, "Oh, you can't get married, Emma." And she's like,
Mm,
"But if Mr. Knightley's here and the hen thieves come, like, we'll have somebody to protect us." And that's what convinces her dad instead, like, it's just kind of a ridiculous thing. And so
yeah.
I took that as like a funny moment to be like, "Oh, they're celebrating their wedding and the hen thieves are like taking advantage of that moment and stealing and
Mhm.
it's like and everything's fine." So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know though. I just thought that was like kind of weird, but
I thought it was weird,
whatever.
but I mean, oh well, it didn't like ruin the movie for me. I just thought it was like
Yeah.
kind of like a bizarre. I am glad
Yeah.
though that they tied it together. I'm glad that it wasn't just like a random hen thief in the beginning and then like it not like happening again. Like
You're like, anyway,
at least they tied
that
it
was
together.
that was funny though. Like we watched the first little clip on YouTube that together, that part, and we were both
Yeah.
laughing. We're like, what the heck is happening? Like
I know, what
this
a
is
weird way to
Emma,
begin
right?
Emma. Yeah. I know, so weird. Um, okay, yeah, because that's a weird chicken beginning. Okay, I
Weird chicken
thought
beginning.
I thought that the way that they did a lot of like Emma's like imagination stuff was hilarious.
Oh, I agree. I really enjoyed that because I
Yeah.
I think that that showed her fancifulness and why she's motivated to be kind of like a little meddling in people's lives because she has
Mhm.
this idea and she's like, I can make that happen.
Yeah, yeah. Like with the in the church, how she connected Harriet, like I thought that was really like cute. How the
Yeah.
like light so the light shines on Harriet in the church and it's like um which is interesting because I don't remember in the book I don't think that she connected Mr. Elton and Harriet wanting them to be together until like after she met Harriet because in the movie they made it seem like she was connecting them like in the church. Like she was like, "Oh, Mr. Elton
Yeah.
needs somebody," and then like a light like shines on Harriet like an angel, and then it's like, you know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? But I guess it doesn't. They just depicted
Yeah,
it
I agree.
different.
I think it was after in the
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
So but I did enjoy that with her imagining and then
I
showing
know
the little
all of
daydream.
that. I am obsessed with this Harriet, like obsessed. I loved her.
Yeah, I thought it was so good. I thought she did such a good job showing like this sweet, naive side
Mhm.
to Harriet, because like really that's kind of the dynamic. And I think that's why Mr. Knightley was so angry with Emma, because he's like, you're taking this naive child who doesn't know enough about the world and looks up to you as if you know enough about the world, and you don't know enough about the world to like encourage her in this way. Like it's the
Yeah.
blind leading the blind essentially, and you're totally hurting her,
Mhm. Well, and
and
Harriet,
I thought loved that.
I love that. Yeah, I love that too. And Harriet is supposed to be like a fair blonde. So I always
Mhm.
appreciate when I see her as like a blonde, just because that's how she's depicted in the book. So it's
Yeah.
nice when they follow through with that. You know, I mean, it's just the little things, but
Hmm.
I mean, I enjoyed her
Yeah.
as a redhead too in like the Gwyneth Paltrow version. But I will say, I think that this Harriet fit Harriet much better than, and her crooked
Yeah.
smile was like the cutest thing ever. I just loved that. Like I just thought
Yeah.
it fit better. And the way that she oh, when she would like cry, it would like break my heart. Like she was a really good
I
crier.
know.
Like,
Yeah, her
oh,
eyes would get so glossy and she just looks so sad.
yeah.
And I think she did such a good job at showing I like Harriet is naive and kind of like a little flighty, but she's not dumb, that like
Mhm.
that's never how
Mm-mm.
she's depicted. So I loved in this version that they did a really good job of being like, she's just a young girl. Like she was young and she doesn't have a lot of life experience, and she hasn't been able to kind of like see the world and see like people's ulterior motives, and maybe like I don't know, she's not necessarily going to be really savvy in society, but she's not stupid.
Mhm.
She's not
Mm-mm.
vapid or anything like that. I think they did such a good job with her. I really enjoyed her.
I loved her. I really did. I thought she was one of, I mean, I need to rewatch the other versions again, but I have a feeling that
Hmm.
she's going to probably be like either what top one or two Harriet's, because I just thought, and I follow her on Instagram now because I was like, I looked up all these
Hmm.
people on Instagram because I was
I
like,
know, it's so fun to do.
yeah, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna like see if I can, yeah, because and I think she's like a good person too. I think she like does stuff with sex trafficking and stuff. I think, I don't quote me on that, but
Oh, that's awesome. And
I'm gonna
if
have
she
to
does.
look into it. So,
Yeah.
what's your next note that you have?
Okay, so I took a little note of when Emma has encouraged Harriet to turn down Robert Martin.
Hmm.
And then Knightley is talking to her and he's like, you wrote her answer, like you convinced her of that. And he gets really mad at her. He gets like really intense with
Yeah,
her in this
well,
version.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. His anger is like whoa in this. Like
Yeah.
he's, yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
So I liked that a lot because it kind of gave me a different insight this time watching it. Like this time watching it, I was like, wow, okay, I feel like this is the time where Knightley is like really intrigued by Emma and what she's going to do in life, because her governess just left and she's like really assuming this woman role, whereas before she kind of had that. Like they talk in the book about how Emma is such a natural at a lot of things, and so that's one of the reasons that she's so adored, because she just has natural talents in so many different ways, and that's also a reason that she's a little flighty and not very like disciplined,
Hmm.
because she's like, well, I'm already like kind of good at this thing. Why would I sit down and spend more time becoming a master at it? I can get by.
Yeah.
So then her governess gets married and moves out. So she's like really a woman now. And
Hmm.
Knightley's kind of like excited for her to move on and grow up and develop. And then she does this thing with Harriet where she kind of meddles and ruins this perfectly good match that would be beneficial to two people. And he's like, oh my gosh, is this what you're going to do with your time? Like, this is how you're going to apply your talent and your energy. And like, I'm so disappointed in you. And I think he was so intense by it because he kind of always saw the possibility of Emma becoming a brat, but then he like always had faith in her choosing the right, and then she does something and he's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like he's so mad at her about that, and I really love that because that goes back to his whole thing of being like honorable and being like, I'm in this position of um what what's the word I'm looking of, like he's in a position of
He's kind of like a, at this point in the story before, well, until I guess this year in her life and maybe a few years before, but he's kind of been more of an older brother figure in a way.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
privilege is the word I was thinking of. So
Oh,
he's
okay.
like he's in a position of privilege because of his heritage and his wealth, and so is Emma, and he views that as like, if we have this privilege, we really need to like make sure that we're towing the line and being good people.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I just loved that, how he had, I don't know, he might have always had a little concern for her, but then at that point he was like, oh hell no, do not be
Mhm.
this person, you know.
Yeah, and can I
I
say
liked
that
that a lot.
I thought Robert in this version was, like, really cute, like, I don't know
Oh, he
why.
was.
Yeah,
He
I
was a
just
hunk.
yeah, like, I was like, "Oh, you're, like, the cutest thing ever," and I'm just like, "Oh,
Like the cutest farmer. Oh my gosh. He looked super
farmersonly.com."
built. Where I spend my weekends. Just kidding. I probably should, because there are so many farmers around me. I'm sure I could find
Oh, that's
a hot
right.
one.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be hilarious. Oh my god,
Okay,
and then
so last week, my brother and my sister-in-law are always like teasing me about who they want to set me up with and stuff like
oh
that. And
gosh.
last week, there's a guy. So my brother is like a volunteer firefighter for the community out here.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
It is really cool. He loves it. And then because of that, he's met like all the people, all the farmers in the area and all that stuff. And he was saying something the other day about like, why don't you go out with so and so, like this guy? I've never met this guy, but I always hear about him because he's like really well known in the community. Like he just knows everyone there. It's a tight knit community. And I was like, I don't know. Why haven't you had him over for dinner? And he's like, oh, it's just, I don't know. Like you should totally go out with him. And I was like, is he nice? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, is he funny? Is he hot? And he's like, I was like, so that's why he hasn't been over for dinner. And he's like, he's just really quiet. Like he would be so scared of you. And I was like, great. That sounds
Oh
great. Invite him
god.
over.
Sure, that's, like, a great start to a relationship. He's, like, scared of you.
I know. I was like, way to recommend that
Oh
one.
my
Anyway,
god.
back
Um,
to Emma.
so I really enjoyed how when Miss with Mr. Elton and the whole likeness part, I don't think I don't I now I could totally be wrong, but I don't ever remember because this does happen in the book, but I don't ever
Mhm.
remember seeing it in a scene where Emma is showing all of her past likenesses to Mr. Elton and is
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't ever remember seeing it. Maybe I'm wrong. It totally could have been in one of the versions, but I really enjoyed like seeing that scene because I
Mhm.
never had like remembered it before.
I
Um,
thought the same thing because I don't think it is in any of the other versions.
yeah, that's what
So,
something I noticed about this version is there's a lot of things that like aren't in any of the others. And so I was like, oh, that's like a really like cool thing.
but did you notice how they kind of gloss over certain points that I feel like should have been more prominent?
Yeah, like which one in particular are you thinking?
Well, there were a couple of the one that I thought was funniest the most is like how she and Mr. Mr. Knightley become engaged and she's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna have to break Harriet's heart."
Oh
And then Harry's
yeah,
just
and
like,
then
"Oh, I'm engaged." Like
yeah,
it's
because
just
that's not how it actually happened. It's yeah,
yeah.
it's supposed to be, but maybe I think they might have just ran out of time.
Yeah. I know.
you
I
know?
think they focus on different things and they're like, meh, we'll just make that. But it was funny to me. Like some of those things, I was like, oh, they're showing this element that normally is glossed over in movies, but
Mhm.
then they're just glossing over this other one that's kind of like more of a moment of conflict that I would have thought would
Yeah, that they would have had more
depicted.
of there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So that was funny.
it was interesting. Um, I thought the line that Elton says, "The husbands and wives at present," like when she's drawing the likeness, and she's like, "Oh, I
Mhm.
only do likenesses. I won't do likenesses for husband and wives." And she's like, "Well, he's like, well, there's no husbands and wives at present." It's like she totally thinks it's for Harriet, but it's like not.
Uh-huh.
I thought that line was funny. Okay, I
Yeah.
love the fight with Harriet and Robert. I loved that it was in the part like inside, like how it's in the book, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked that their fight was in the inside, but
Yeah, I really
yeah.
liked that. I think they had good conflict. Like it really showed like two strong wills coming against each other. It
Mhm.
was really good. And I really liked the dinner party where um where Emma's looking at the likeness of Frank Churchill and she's like kind of daydreaming about how she's like, I think he would be the only man that I would be interested in.
Oh
And then
yeah.
Mr. Knightley is talking to oh, what's her bucket? The
Jay.
governess.
Oh, oh, Mrs. Weston.
Mrs. Weston, yes. So they're at the Weston's house, right? And then that's when he has a conversation where he's like, "What do you think of this attachment with Harriet and Emma lately?" And he kind of has that moment. I just liked it because it shows like Emma's fancifulness having this daydream, and then him kind of bringing up a point. And I think that that's where you have, I don't know, that was a good moment for me in that movie to be like, okay, they're showing you how Emma is focused on like the appearance of propriety and like the rules of society, because that means that you're a good, well liked person, whereas Mr. Knightley is like, but are we behaving correctly, you know?
Mhm.
So it kind of showed like a little bit of a different focus. And like, and you know how like our last time we were talking about Emma and you're like, Emma's a snob, and I was like, yeah, she's kind of a brat. I take it back. Like I feel like Emma is just one of those people that is so gifted in a lot of things that she doesn't have to be actually disciplined in a lot of things. So she is just, I think she's just like really human, you know,
Yeah, I think
but
so
she
too.
still she still does what she's supposed to, but she hasn't quite learned like the why we do certain things over the praise of it, you know.
That's why I think Knightley is so perfect for her, is because he lets her be who she is and like lets her make mistakes and advises her.
Hmm.
And yes, of
Yeah.
course, the majority of the time he is like correct, but also there are the times where he's like, "Oh, you actually like did do like I'm glad that you made this mistake because there came good out of it."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because
And he
if
never like holds things against her.
mm-mm, mm-mm. Well, and if if she hadn't advised Harriet to not marry Robert Martin, who knows if she would have become like the better version of herself. Like she really grew with Emma with like the whole like riddle book that she wrote and like learning about how like to be, I don't know, just being in society
Hmm.
with good people and like, people that are, I don't know how to explain it without like just people like she just
Who
put
are like
Emma
more
like
refined or something.
yeah, and like just I
Hmm.
grew and broadened her horizons instead of just like being in the, not that
Hmm.
there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying like she really like gave Emma more of a open view of life, I think. I
Hmm.
gave Harriet more of an
Yeah.
open view of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
Harriet gave that to Emma too. Like I really liked how in this one Emma, they show that she does look down on people in a different um status than her. You know how like she's really blunt with Harriet of being like, I'm glad you didn't marry him because I would have lost my friend. Like I couldn't have associated with you if you were a farmer's wife. And then at the end, when they're at her wedding, she goes over to Mr. Martin, to Robert Martin, and she's like, I'm so glad to meet you. Like, thank you so much. And come and see us. You know, she invites them
Yeah.
over.
Oh,
And
that was a
Mrs.
great
Elton
part.
is like, I know, I really liked that. And Mrs. Elton is kind of scandalized because she also is into the whole society's rules and the different tiers of people and stuff like that. But she does that with also not having a gracious heart. And I think that I like that they have these characters to kind of separate Emma, because you have Emma, but then you have Frank Churchill, and then you have Mrs. Elton. And I feel like they're the extremes of the sides of Emma that could be dominant. But she
Mhm.
also is like ruled by, she does want to be a good person and she does want to do well because her dad loves her and adores her so much, and he's like so kind-hearted that she like wants to actually live up to his expectation. But then we have these two other characters where we could see that Emma could really be genuinely a snob and like look down on people, or she really could be manipulative and use people, but she kind of does those things a little bit, but not as much as the other characters, you know?
Yeah. Can I just say that I think that it's a really brilliant thing that Jane Austen did in making the characters like the snootiest characters, um, meaning Mr. and Mrs. Elton, like
Hmm.
Augusta, and I don't even know Mr. Elton's first name, but
No.
like the snootiest characters that are, and like in reality, like if you would think that they wouldn't be the snootiest characters because he's a freaking vicar. Like
Yeah. Right.
like what? Like you know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
he's
And
like
same
the
with Mr.
priest.
Collins. She does that too.
Yeah, which I think is funny because that is, I mean, that you do notice that, like, and a lot of times the church can just be like the nastiest, like,
Yeah. Like the hypocrisy of you're supposed to
he,
be a certain type
yeah,
of person and you're not. Hmm.
which
Oh
is
yeah,
why I
for
think a
sure.
lot of people in our generation that were raised like Christian, like I see a lot of people that like were like, oh, I was raised that way, but now I'm just like completely done because of like all of the hypocrisy, which makes me
Yeah.
sad, but I get it. But it also makes me sad because it's like, no, we're not all like that. Come back, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways. I think people in a religion that are trying to live a certain code of ethic or a certain behavior, you have to be able to balance that with being like, but I can't lose track of the person. If we believe that we're all children of God, I can't lose track of that. And then
Mhm.
people that are outside of that, if you've left a religion or a group of people because you felt like there is hypocrisy, like maybe keep in mind too that maybe somebody's doing something because they really feel that's the right thing, not because they feel better, like it goes both ways. But I do think that I think probably Jane Austen had some bad experiences and was
Yeah.
venting a little through her writing.
Wasn't her dad a priest?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know for
funny.
sure, but
So
which
maybe
maybe that's why she might have like
yeah,
had very intimate details of the
of
workings of that.
different priests that were,
Mhm.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I loved the playing with the kids. Like, I thought that was adorable with like
Oh
Mr.
yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Knightley and his brother. I thought the throwing up them up and like I just loved that. I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah. I did too. I thought they had a lot of moments like that in this movie that were very like human instead of just proper pretty dresses and scarves and things like that. It was like kind of a normal family moment and it was really cute. I liked
Mm,
that.
yeah, that was great.
Okay, we have to talk about Mr. Frank Churchill in this
Oh, okay,
version.
like
Was he not a freaking fine specimen of a man? Oh
I
my
thought
Lanta.
I know. I thought he was like the perfect Frank Churchill.
He was so good. He was
Like, I
so good.
couldn't believe it. I was like, "Oh my god." And, like, okay, so, wanna know something funny? Today I haven't posted it yet, I don't know if I will, but I had, like, a draft made up of I don't even know how I can get to it, of it's okay, I'm trying to get to it on my face, but, like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I ever posted, but it
You're
was,
okay.
like, a Frank Churchill rant. I was like, every single time I read Emma, reread because it's my 3rd time reading it, I am
Mhm.
baffled by Frank Churchill. And I don't know if it's because I'm just bitter because I've dated Frank Churchills or like what, but I'm not like ever the Jane Fairfax, obviously, in the Frank Churchill situation, because it's always
Mhm.
like I'm the Emma in this scenario where he's like using me to like for attention or like to show
Oh,
off
yeah.
or whatever, and then doesn't actually like me. You know what I mean? And so,
Mhm.
but I'm just baffled. I'm like, why would he like treat Jane Fairfax that way? Like, why would he like say all those mean things to Emma and just to try and egg Emma on to like,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just nasty to me. Like, I
It is.
just,
He's pretty creepy with how he does it. Like, it's like, "Ew, did you really" like, it makes you so you can't trust him at all because you're like, "You said some pretty serious things."
yeah,
And either you do feel like that a little bit and you're actually really judgy and condescending to this woman you say that you love, or you were faking it the whole time and, "Oh my gosh, can I trust you with anything?" You know?
yeah. I
It's
just,
sad. Which in this version, they really show his petty side, like
yeah.
very,
Well, I was gonna
very
say,
focused on
and
that.
this version, and I'm not gonna, I might be wrong for the other versions, but I was gonna say they made it the most obvious to me that Jane and him were having a secret relationship.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because, like, the whole like, when the door opens and Emma comes into
Oh,
Mrs.
I thought
Bates'
that was so
house.
obvious. I was like, well,
Yes,
there's no question now.
and then him bringing up all the time that he's going over to the Bates's house, like, all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the picnic where Jane feels sick and she leaves early because she's so distraught by how he's
Ugh,
acting and they have the confrontation, like, oh. But I did also really like how in this scene when Frank is called away because his aunt is sick, and he comes to say goodbye to Emma, and that's kind of where she thinks like, oh, maybe he really does have feelings for me because he's so like tender in his goodbye. I actually really liked how they did that because it kind of showed the tragedy of Frank Churchill a little bit, how didn't have control over his life and um he felt very sad about it and he was
mhm.
kind of like really down. And I want to know, what do you think? Was Frank Churchill going to tell Emma that time that he was in love with Jane? Or was he going to try and like continue on with the ruse?
I had a moment of thinking, I think he was gonna tell her about Jane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've always wondered that with every scene that I've seen that in a movie, I'm always like, so was he going to tell her like, okay, I'm sure you have no doubt at this point or something, because he had kind of been trying to do all these little hints. And was he like, did he think Emma had a clue more than she did? Or was he gonna just like do another crappy thing to continue on like feeding that lie and that narrative, you know?
I think he was gonna say talk to her about Jane. I think.
I kind of think so too, because I feel like Emma was his one buddy friend that he felt like he could kind of compete with a little bit, you know?
And I will say I'm really glad though that he did. I'm not glad that he did that to Emma. That's awful. But I am glad though that
Mhm.
out of anybody in the book that he picked her because she is in the best situation in life. Like if he had done that to Harriet, that would have been like awful and so sad.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
You know,
Silver
so
lining for him being a dick.
well, yeah, I swear. Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying is like it's like I just yeah, it like I'm just glad though that even if Frank Churchill hadn't been secretly engaged to Jane, that she still
Mhm.
wouldn't have like been with him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that she would have been with him. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think she could have. Yeah, I don't think she would have been able to put up with him. And they're like, I think that them together would have just been like too much, like, because it would have brought out Emma's
Mhm.
like bad side all the time, and like it
Yeah.
just like Jane, like bless Jane, Jane Fairfax's heart, like she, I
Yeah.
mean, for her to put up
I
with
think
him.
oh yeah, like she's a saint. Or she's dumb, which I don't know which one. But I think if Emma and Frank Churchill had ended up together, it would have been very similar to the Eltons, who were both petty enough that they
It would
got
have
along.
been.
And with them, they would have been the same thing, except they would have been like more liked by people because they were more charming. But
Mhm.
in the long run, I don't think, when you meet somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, they're the funniest, they're so great, I love them. And the more time you spend with them, you're like, actually, they're kind of mean. Like they're
Yeah,
funny, but it's always at the expense of somebody, you know?
it's not.
I
Yeah.
think that Emma and Frank would have been that.
Mhm.
And it would have been really sad. And I think that's one of the reasons. Obviously, we know it's because Knightley also really cared for Emma and had feelings of affection for her. But I think that that was one of his things where he's like, I do not want them to end up together. They would be a monster, It'd be
Yeah,
awful.
they really
He
would
saw
be.
it.
They really would be.
Mhm.
And I did really like this Knightley quote. He says, "There is one thing a man can always do if he chooses, and that is his duty. If he truly willed it, he could be here tomorrow." Talking about Frank, like being here, because Frank
Yes.
like never would come and visit his dad. And like, oh, I texted this to you. I think I was like, I think like Frank has major daddy issues.
Well, I think Frank has probably a lot of issues because think about how weird his upbringing was, though. Like
Yeah.
the fact that Frank's mother died when he was very young. And so his aunt, his mother's side of the family, took him in to take care of him. And then, out of like respect to them, he took on their name. Like, I just feel like that there was probably some really controlling, unhealthy boundaries in that family that
Mhm.
happened, and that his aunt had total control over his life. That she was like, oh, you can't go see your dad
Because they don't
because
like
I need
him.
you.
Yeah, they didn't like
Yeah.
him. That's so sad too. Like I felt bad for
Yeah.
Mr. Weston that he like didn't have like he just felt
Mhm.
powerless and he was super vulnerable because his wife love of his life just died too. So like what is he gonna do? Right? Like be
Yeah.
like yeah. I feel for
Yeah.
him. I'm
So I
sure
think that
he
was a
has some
really
regret, but
oh yeah, and especially because then when he gets married, Mrs. Weston is like trying so hard to kind of be the bridge between and like encourage and be accommodating for Frank to come and visit so that they can build that relationship. So I think Frank actually probably came from a really confusing, sad environment. And that probably is what made him such a jerk sometimes.
yeah, acting out and yeah, and all of that.
And obviously he wasn't taught like this is your duty, you need to go and respect your father and stay with him and see him even if we are like raising you, you still need to go. Whereas Knightley, he had been that was in his character already, but that had also been like encouraged in his family to be like, you will do what is right. You will do what you should do, you know?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think I like that difference between the two of them. And I really love that Knightley's character is so focused on that. It's really dreamy and I like him even more because of
I loved
it.
how mad he got about Frank, was cool, you
Yeah,
know?
because of Frank's dumb behavior, and he was the only one that was like, "What the biff?" And everyone's like, "Oh, Frank Churchill's here. We love him." And he's like, "Homeboy just went to London to get his haircut and stood us up on a day that we were supposed to do something. That's crap, you know."
Mhm.
Ugh, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
He's
I
like the
just
voice of reason in Emma.
he is, and I like that Knightley saw Emma and Frank making fun of Jane and was like, "Yo, like, what's going on? Like, that's not cool."
Yeah, and he saw
Like
like, he was so clear, like, when he was like, "What was that joke?" And she's like, "Oh, it's just a private joke. It doesn't matter." And he's like, "Are you sure you know what's going on between them? Because something is happening that I think you're oblivious to." I loved
mhm.
really
Mhm.
liked it.
I liked it too. Let's see, what else did I have? Oh, I think Emma doesn't like Jane because she's more focused. Like Jane is a more focused lady. Um, and she
Mhm.
also like keeps secrets, and that drives Emma nuts. Like,
Yeah. I think, like, the steadiness in Emma that she maybe lacks a little bit is really evident in Jane, and it's like,
mhm.
okay. I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Did you think that Mrs. Elton's accent was bizarre?
I didn't notice it actually. Tell me more about that.
I thought she was like going in and out of American. It was weird. I don't know. Like, I
Oh.
just,
Oh, I wanna rewatch.
yeah, if you just listen to her talk, it just sounds like weird. And I didn't know if that was like, if it was like a thing that she was directed to do, or if maybe the director wanted her to sound weird to make her more unlikable, or
Maybe,
what. You
yeah.
know, I just wasn't sure what that choice was. Um,
Huh.
but I mean, it worked because that made me be like, oh, I don't really like her. But
That's so funny. I noticed, her cadence of speech and how she said certain lines, but I didn't notice an accent. So I wonder if I watch it now if I would
yeah,
see
I
it
don't know.
differently.
It was like, it was really
Mhm.
weird. We're at
Yeah.
like
She was
fifth.
freaking annoying though.
Yeah, I did not like her. Ugh, we're at
Yeah.
51 minutes. So do you want to like
Yeah, what else did you have? Any other things to talk about?
I really enjoyed the quote, "My dearest Emma, for dearest you will always be."
Yeah, that was really good.
Like seriously, like started to cry. I was like, ah, you know.
You'll always be my dearest.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess the only thing like towards the end when I was watching the conclusion of it was I put a note down that because everything happened really fast once Frank's aunt died, everything
Hmm.
like moved fast in the story. Um, and I wrote a note that was like, um, because of Frank's behavior and everyone finding out that he had been lying to them the whole time and her seeing like how confusing that moment of being like Frank has like made fun of Jane with me, but then he was in love with her and engaged to her the whole time. I think through that she saw how your behavior really can affect people and really can be damaging. And I think that that was like her real moment of being like, wow, I've done that in some ways and that's not okay. I think that was like a real awakening for her.
Hmm.
um, and then I put a note at the end. I was like, Emma is just a girl who finally saw things that she was blind to. Like
Yeah.
she was oblivious to certain things, and then at the end, she really like sees those things that she was blind to. And I think that's why I love the story of Emma so much. It's so endearing to me because of
It
that.
is. It is very endearing. And I loved that we got to see like more of Mr. Knightley's estate and like his tenants and like
Yeah.
and how
Yeah, it
he
opened
like
up the world of Emma more.
yeah, and how he like really like takes care of the community and like, you know, just is like a good person. Just be
He's
like Mr.
so
Knightley,
great.
boys who are listening. Please be like Mr. Knightley. Don't be like Frank Churchill.
Mm, please be like Mr. Knightley.
Please be like Mr.
Um,
Knightley.
And then my very last note is the hen thieves were kind of weird.
we
It
might
was so
need
weird.
we might need to name this episode the Hen Thieves.
Oh, that's a good idea. The hen thieves and Emma.
Oh my god, so great. So great.
Uh,
I also enjoyed the rain part when Emma realizes that she loves Mr. Knightley. I just thought it was like a cool effect. I don't know, like that they
mhm.
had it raining. Um,
Yeah, I liked that too.
I have in all caps, yes, Mr. Knightley telling Churchill how it is done. Like just because he's like, yeah, yeah. And then also how like amazing is Mr. Knightley for like being like, "We'll just stay at Hartfield, your house until
I
like,
know.
with your
Yeah.
dad."
Yeah, because
What a
he saw
man.
like, yeah. Well, and I think that's why he loved Emma because she genuinely like adored her dad, who is just like the best character. He's so weird, but he's like such a sweet, endearing,
Mhm.
like kind-hearted person, and so I think him knowing that that was going to be a hardship for him, for her, and for him, he was like, I'm not like, I would love you both. I would never do anything to hurt you guys, so I'll move in. I'll be there with you. It's
Yeah,
so cute.
that is so
I like that a
sweet.
lot.
I do
Okay,
too.
so in conclusion, I really enjoyed this version of Emma. How do you
I
feel
re
about it? Would you rewatch it? Would you
yeah,
recommend it?
I definitely would recommend it. I will rewatch it for sure. I eventually will own it. I just don't wanna pay $32 for it because that's, like, the
Right?
only,
What the
like,
best?
version, right? So, I think maybe, like, if you and I, like, are at, like, a Target or Walmart, we can always, like, check to see if it's there, and then,
Yeah.
like, if it's cheap, we can just buy 2, and then I'll mail you 1 or vice, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, for real,
definitely.
like, try and see, like, if we can get it because, I really enjoyed it, and I need to check with my mom and family if they've seen it because I just don't know why this version has never, like, we never watched it.
Right?
It's bizarre.
I know. We were joking before we started recording about how it's like, how did our moms never make us watch this?
I know,
To
like,
be in
what the
every young
heck?
woman's
I know.
growing up years.
And I liked Kate Beckinsale playing Emma. I thought she did a really good job.
She did. I liked her. She's so cute.
She is so cute.
Um, okay, so Emma, love it. It's good. Watch it. That'll be great. Next week we are going to watch we're going to watch Emma Approved, which is a little YouTube show. That's kind of like a
Super cute.
modern version. It is pretty
Mhm.
cute. So we're going to watch that and then we're also going to watch the newest version of Emma that just came out last year.
Mhm.
So we're going to watch both of those and then compare and contrast and talk about that. So
Yeah.
for you can watch that and then be ready for the episode along with us. Okay, so our low lights and our highlights. Let's start with the low lights this time so we end with the highlights. What is your
Okay.
low light for this week?
Low light this week. I guess my show closed today, which is kind of sad. Like, and it was so much
Oh.
fun because we did The Odd
Hmm.
Couple, and I've been super spoiled with my track because I didn't have to be there until the show started and didn't
Hmm.
come on stage until intermission. And I loved it. And like, I'm going to miss that because like the next show I do, I'll probably have to be there for like all the time. And so I just
Hmm.
liked not having to like be there until it started because I got a lot more done and, all that. So
Yeah.
that was my low light is it closed today, but
Oh,
yeah, it's
that is
sad.
sad.
We'll miss it, but it's okay. Life goes on.
It does, but that makes sense. My low light is just how freaking cold it's been this week. I've been dying.
Really?
It's so cold.
Oh
Yeah,
no. Oh yeah, and it's
I
snowing
know.
outside right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my
So
god.
oh, also my low light was having to listen to my coworkers blah 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 about the Super Bowl, which is happening right now. We're
Ugh,
recording while the world is watching the Super Bowl, and I feel
ugh.
so good about it.
I forget that it happens every year. All that like I
Me
forget it.
too.
I just
Me too.
completely forget. I'm like, "Oh, oops, oops."
I
Okay.
know. On Friday, I literally was like, "Wait, who's playing? I don't even care." Like,
Yeah,
I don't know who's
I
doing
don't
it.
even know any of these teams or any of their names or anything. I'm like, "All right, whatever."
Tom Brady in it again, but he has to be every year, right? That's like one of the Super Bowl rules.
I
So
guess.
Tom Brady's there. Okay, low lights, those were good. What's your highlight?
My highlight this week, let's see. My highlight. Ah! Oh my gosh, I don't know why completely forgot it. I think my highlight is um this is random, but they've added like a new at the ballet studio that I like to go to, they added a new class like on Tuesdays that I'm going to start going to, so I'm
Mhm.
like really excited about that.
Oh,
So,
that's so exciting.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
So
that.
I'm going to start going back to ballet. Like that's like my my next goal is to start going back to ballet again. So,
Mhm.
because I kind of had to take some time off because of shows, but I really want to go back and like do it again, just because it's like really good for the soul. And I feel like an accomplished lady that Mr. Bingley would love if I go to ballet class. So,
Ah, you're so accomplished. I like that. That'll be
yeah,
fun.
yeah, I'm
Very cool that you
excited.
get to do that.
Yeah,
My highlight, I was gonna say something else, but I just feel like it's more authentic to say the nap that I just woke up from right before we started recording. That was probably the highlight of my week. It was like the best nap I've had
yeah, that's
this year.
awesome. Yeah,
Because I woke up when it was still bright. And so I was like, oh, okay, we're good. Like it really was just a nap.
yeah, that's
It's
awesome.
so nice. I'm
I
trying
know.
because this goes back to the obsession of that book that's being all natural with your body and healthy. I'm trying to like give my body more what it needs. And I had a list of things that I wanted to do this afternoon. And then I was kind of like, I think I just need to take a nap. Like I'm getting stressed about all these things and I feel like my body just needs that. So I
Yeah.
went for a run, it's cold, and then I came home and I took a nap and it was beautiful. So
That
that's my
sounds
highlight.
fun. I love naps. Oh my gosh. Like it rained so hard here last night. And so I slept so good last night. That's probably another
That is
highlight
the
too.
best sleep. The
Yeah.
best sleep.
I felt so good. Yeah. And I got away. I woke up like late. I woke up naturally. It was so nice with no alarm. And
Ah,
I love
that
that.
is the best. That's like you feel like you're living the dream. Like you're like, this is how life is supposed to be when you can wake up naturally without your alarm.
I
That's
know.
all
Oh,
I want out of life, really.
me too. Me too.
Okay.
Yay.
Well, anything else that we need to say? I think we covered it all.
Yeah. Just follow us all on all the socials.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Tea with Claudia and B. You can also email us
Mhm.
at teawithclaudiaandb@gmail.com. You can send us
Yes.
DMs through any of the social platforms that we are on. Like and follow us. We are also starting, Claudia mentioned this at the beginning, but this last week we started doing devotionals where we go live on Instagram and share the little devotional. It's been really fun. So you can check those out on our Instagram. And
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for being here, you
Yeah.
guys. Make sure that you're
Yeah.
subscribed, and we would love it if you would leave us a rating and a little note. That would be super helpful.
Yeah, and you can also send us voice messages. Like if you just look on like the podcast wherever you're listening to, it will say like send a
Oh
voice
yeah,
message. Or you can also support us if you want to support the podcast with like monthly
yeah,
donations and stuff, which would be awesome. And then we can
yeah,
create more content for you guys and all that. So
yeah. We would love to do that for you. So thank you
yay.
for being here. We love getting messages from you guys when you listen to the episode. That means so much to us. So
Yay. We love
thank
it.
you.
We love it. Okay. Well, we'll talk to you later.
All right. See you next week. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Da, 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 da. Bye,
All right.
YouTube.
See you guys. Mwah.
Bye.